Okay. Yes, perfect. Thank you. Welcome back, almost everyone. Some of us. The diehards are here. Okay. Welcome to Trends in Real Estate. Hope I'm going right. Get in the right direction. There we go. Okay. My name is Mark Weithorn. I'm the president of DPI Showcase Websites. We are a tech company that has been creating websites and real estate products for realtors all around the country. We've been doing this for about 20 years now. Long time. Time flies, doesn't it? So I've been teaching classes at the Miami Association of Realtors for about the same amount of time. Teaching classes like finding buyers on the internet, farming for listings, surviving the first 6 months as a realtor. That's one of my favorites. And what I usually do is in the beginning of the classes is I teach statistics, what's going on in the marketplace. Because you know, before you get out of your bed, before you start doing business, before you start doing things, you want to know where to go and what to do, what's hot, what's not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you about an hour's worth of statistics in 30 minutes, 29 minutes. So it's going to be real fast-paced statistics. At the end of the class, I'll give you my email address. So if you want me to email you this presentation, I will do that because it's going to go faster than I usually like. So what we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about changes in population, who's moving where, demographics, hot U.S. cities, and so on and so forth. You'll see it unfold. So first, let's go over headlines. Now, you know, we're in a pandemic, or maybe we're coming out of a pandemic, one never knows, and there's been whole changes in population shifts going on. So let me show you some of the headlines as to what people have been saying. So the first one is 8.9 million people. 8.9 million people relocated since the beginning of the pandemic, which is a lot of people. The next headline is the South and Midwest regions are gaining larger shares of home buyers. And if you look here, the top line here, this is the South. So as they say, the South is rising. Smaller metro areas are gaining population during the pandemic. So here is the blow up of that chart. So here are the biggest gains. Here, the first one is Jacksonville. Now, I never considered Jacksonville as a smaller metro area, but I'll take it, whatever it says. So, Jacksonville's pretty large. So the first one is Jacksonville, then we have Salt Lake City, Sacramento, Milwaukee, and one of my favorite city, Kansas City, Mo, because I'm a sucker for barbecue, and, you know, there's nothing better than it there, okay? And some of the biggest losers, we have New York City, San Francisco, Seattle, Boston, and Portland, Oregon. Zillow did a study. Now, Zillow does lots of studies. I know some people love Zillow, some people hate Zillow. It's all over the board. But they do some really good studies. So they did this one study that found that there's a shortfall of 1.35 million homes in the U.S. Now, I recently saw another article that said we're short about 3 million homes in the U.S., so we can quibble about those numbers later, but the bottom line is we are short. And if you look at the chart here, I know this is hard to read. I mean, I'm down here reading it like this. Number one is Chicago. Then we have Pittsburgh, Detroit, St. Louis, Cleveland, New York, Philadelphia, Boston, and so on and so forth. Then there's another article about millennials. Millennials are like really ruling the real estate market right now. 43% of home buyers are millennials. They're basically, they're getting married, they're giving up their rentals, they're buying houses in neighborhoods where there's yards and parks and schools because they want to have kids. And they're really driving a lot of what's going on in the marketplace. How we doing? Everyone doing all right? All right. All right, let's look at some statistics. The first thing I want to go over is a real estate term. It's called months supply. This is basically a gauge for realtors. And everyone know, anyone here? All right, I got a couple. Basically, months supply is how much inventory is in the pipeline. So for example, if no new listings came in, how long would it take to sell everything that we have? Months supply. So the middle is 6 months supply. Less than 6 months supply is a seller's market, low inventory. More than 6 months supply is a buyer's market, too much inventory. Got it? So they did a study and they found that we're sitting at 2 months supply of single-family homes in the country. This is really low. This is dangerously low. This is an extreme seller's market. That's why you have the bidding wars. In addition to this being low, this is bad for the economy. This has ripple effects. For example, someone buys a house, where's the first place they go to? Home Depot. You get a free cup of coffee. Okay, Home Depot. And then they go and they buy flooring, and then they buy gardening stuff, and in 2008, we saw the ripple effects in the economy. So this is really bad. Now, before COVID, when I was teaching my marketing classes to realtors in Miami, I would get the question, are we in a buyer's market or a seller's market? And I would say we're in both. With single-family homes, we're in a seller's market, low inventory. But when it comes to condos, they built too many condos in Miami, we were in a buyer's market. And then it also had to do with price points and things like that. All right? And then here we have the inventory levels, and as you can see, the inventory levels have just dropped. 65% of U.S. homes were owner-occupied in 2020. 42% of homes had one or more people 60 years and over. This translates to nearly 52.3 million homes. One of the positive effects of the pandemic is that people were closer to their families. Many of them decided to live together so they can take care of their parents. So a lot of kids are moving back to take care of their parents. For example, across the street from me is a woman. She is a widow for about 10 years now, and then recently her son and his family, wife, the 2 small kids recently moved in. And they're there living with mom. And, you know, I see the son painting the house and doing the gardening and all that. But that is a big trend that's going on right now. And then here we have this is an interesting chart, households with people 60 years and over. So tied for first place, we have Hawaii and Florida. Go Florida. Go Gators. Any Gators in the room? All right, Gators. Then we have West Virginia, Delaware, Maine, New Mexico. Yes, sir.
When you say that you don't mean owned necessarily on 60 years.
It's not necessarily owned. It's just people living in there.
Yes. Most of that is owned, or?
So we come back. His question is most of that owned? I don't have an answer for that. They didn't break that down. But if you go back a few slides, 65% of U.S. homes were owner-occupied. So you can kind of like pull it out of there.
I guess what I mean is it owned by a person who's 60 years or older, or owned by a child?
If I had to guess, I don't have the answer to that, but I had to guess, I would say it's owned by the person 60 years and over. If I had to guess. All right, don't worry. 12% of the population moved in 2020. So let's look at a breakdown on this. 40.3% million people moved. 53% moved within the same county. 25% moved to a different county in the same state. And 18% moved to a different state. I love numbers. He wants to know what the most popular ones. I'm going to keep you in suspense for about 5 minutes. All right? Yes, ma'am. Sure. Where's the data come from? That's amazing. It's coming from lots of different sources. I get a lot from the National Association of Realtors. The Florida Association has a lot of good stuff. Zillow has good stuff. There's a trade organization, Inman, I-N-M-A-N. He does a lot of coaching for realtors. He has a lot of good data. So I'm pulling it in from all sorts of stuff. And you caught me, you're right. I should have put that little thing on the bottom that said sourced by next year. I'll have that, okay? Thank you. And here are the top 10 destinations. So we have Dallas, Phoenix, Atlanta, Charleston, Provo, Utah, Boise, Idaho, Spokane, Washington, Madison, Wisconsin, whatever. Indianapolis, sorry if anyone's here from Madison. And Des Moines, Iowa. Dallas, Fort Worth. Dallas attracted the largest number of movers of nearly 250,000 people in 2018. Atlanta, what stands out about Atlanta, the Atlanta metro area, is that it has the highest share of workers working from home at 8.8% compared to the national share of 5.6%. Anyone from Atlanta? Love Atlanta. I love Atlanta. Atlanta is a great metro area. It's always been that way. And what happened is it became a mini tech place. Atlanta, go figure. And Phoenix, the Phoenix metro area attracted the largest number of movers from West Coast metro areas. It's the third largest destination of movers next to Dallas and Atlanta. I don't know what they're going to do for water, but that's another class. All right, and then here we have the top hottest housing markets. I know you can't read that, so I'll just read it off. Manchester, New Hampshire, Santa Cruz, California, Raleigh, North Carolina, Springfield, Massachusetts, Topeka, Kansas, Rochester, New York, I don't know that one, it's cold there, Boulder, Colorado, Portland, and Salinas, California. So this is an interesting chart that I found. It's an interactive chart where you can plug in a state and it'll give you the statistics. So here we have outflows. So here I have top destinations for people who leave New York. A lot of them cross the Hudson River. They move to New Jersey. I know I have a niece who did that. Then they went to Connecticut, Florida. We're always talking about the New Yorkers who are coming down to Florida. Tennessee and Massachusetts. And then we have who's moving into the state. So I put in Texas. I know we have Texas in the house. They're coming from Arkansas. I just report the numbers, okay? California, a lot of Californians are going to move in there, or have been moving in there. Illinois, New York, and Kentucky. I don't know that one either. Then we have existing home sales by region. So, of course, the South is number one. The West is 21%, the Midwest 23%, and the Northeast is 12%. And then this is an interesting chart. This is existing home sales. So as you can see here, pre-COVID, I mean, it's jaggedy, but it's flat. Flat is good. Okay, flat is healthy. Listings come in, listings go out. That's healthy. People, realtors have stuff to sell. It's good. COVID hit, and as you can see here, it dropped. Deer in the headlights. All my realtor clients were like, what do we do? I had to start teaching marketing classes on Zoom, of course, as to what to do because of COVID, what to tell your clients because of COVID. And then mysteriously, about 90 days later, it was really a short period of time, the market skyrocketed. Just boom, off the charts. What happened was, I'll give you an example. We have Fort Lauderdale in just north of Miami. It's called Broward County. On the west side of Broward County are a lot of 55-plus communities, like Century Village, or as they call it there, Cemetery Village. What people in the New York area were doing is they were having their realtors go there, take pictures of the units. You can buy a condo there, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom condo, for like $130, $150. The realtors were taking pictures, texting it to their clients up north who were buying it sight unseen so they can ship their parents out of New York where COVID was rampant and move them down to Florida. And I have a lot of realtor clients who are making a ton of money selling that way. That's another version of iBuyers. It's not just the buying without actually seeing the property. And then, as you can see, it boomeranged up and it stayed at elevated levels. And then the median price of existing homes, of course, that has gone up. I just read an article the other day where in certain areas the prices have gone up over 20% in the past year. Kid-friendly areas is what they call them. Millennials. So the National Association, here I'm sourcing it, the National Association of Realtors comes out with lots of good studies. And they're great reads. I mean, they're like 30-minute reads, but they're really good. So here's 2 reports they came out with. The first one is the 2021 Profile of Home Buyers and Sellers. It's their 40th anniversary edition. And the second one is the 2022 Home Buyers and Sellers Generational Trends Report, which was really cool. So let me give you some snippets from these 2 reports. The first thing, I always like reviewing this because we always get the lines blurred. This is how do we categorize people. So the first on the left, we have the silent generation, 1925 to 1945. I don't know why they call them the silent generation. I don't get that. I'm the youngest of 5, and my mom was always yelling at someone, so I don't get that. And then after the war ended, we have the older boomers, 1946 to 1945, the younger boomers, 55 to 64. I'm a younger boomer. Then we have the Gen Xers, then we have the older millennials, 1980 to 1989, the younger millennials, and then we have the Gen Zs, 1999 to 2011. They didn't tell me what they're calling people after 2011. Anyone know that? I'm sorry? Alpha. Alpha, great, cool, thank you. So here they did, since it's the 40th anniversary, they did a comparison between 1981 and 2021. If you look on the left here, first-time home buyers, in 1981 it was 44% share versus 34% share. A lot of repeat buyers. The age of first-time home buyers went up from 29 to 33. We have the age of repeat buyers increased from 36 to 56 years of age. Now, boomers are competing with millennials for homes. That's a big problem that we have now. We have shortage of inventory, and boomers are competing with millennials for the same inventory. So this is entirely different dynamic from 2008, which was driven by lax lending. This supply and demand issue that is being guided by demographics. Millennials and baby boomers are orbiting the market for the same housing stock. These first-time home buyers and downsizing buyers are vying for the same property. What you're getting is you're getting a lot of boomers who are moving closer to their kids. For example, I have 2 sons who live in Manhattan, but one day they'll buy a house probably in Jersey, because they're with Jersey girls, so, you know. And my wife said, well, one day we're going to sell the house in Miami Beach, and we're going to be closer to the grandkids. And who am I going to be competing against for those houses? Millennials. There is another facet into this with the shortage of inventory. It's called aging in place. A lot of boomers are saying, we're not selling our house. We're not moving. You know, they're going to have to come and cart me out of the house. For example, I have two sisters. One lives in New Jersey. The other one lives in Philly. They can't move out of their house. I mean, it would take them a year to pack. And plus, when the kids come over with the grandkids, they have the house. So now we're decreasing the inventory levels, and then to make some complexity to it, we have the boomers and the millennials competing for that same small inventory. And then how many months' supply do we have in single-family homes? 2. It's a very complex situation. Here is the age of home buyers, and the top here is 36 and 49. Here we have the age of repeat buyers has gone up to 56, and first-time buyers has increased to 33. One of the reasons this has increased, and we talked about it sort of this morning, student loan debt. It's a killer. Student loan debt is a killer. When a mortgage broker talks to you about buying a house, the first thing they ask you is, do you have any student loans? And then first-time home buyers in age group, we have 23 to 31 is 81%, and 32 to 41 is 48%. So this is interesting. This is the number of children under the age of 18 residing in a household, and I don't know whether they own it or not. So we have 1 is 13%, 2 is 12%, 3 is 6%, and none is 69%. But I question this number here, the none at 69%, because what they don't break down is how many of these homes have children over 18. Like my neighbor across the street, and also my neighbor next door, their son was in Manhattan finishing his senior year of college. COVID hit, they brought him home, he finished everything online, and he's still there, and he's 23 years old. So I don't know the breakdown here. Yes, sir, you had a question.
Well, I just wanted you to give us a definition of the term household that you're using here, because I would assume that everyone that lives in a residence of any kind is actually living in a household. So how are you using that term here?
100%. Basically, they don't define whether it's a single-family home or whether it's a condo or whether it's owner or you own it or you rent it. They're not defining that. A household is, 4 walls, people living in a communal space. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Address?
An address, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much, yes. So in an apartment building, you may have 200 households. This is new versus used or resold. So basically, as you could see on the left, oops, wrong way. If you see here, 85% of the sales were previously owned homes versus 15%, which are new homes. And then you have buying new versus previously owned. So the reason people buy new homes, we have avoid renovations or problems with plumbing or electricity, ability to choose or customize details, amenities of new home construction communities, lack of inventory of previously owned home, green energy, smart home features. Some people buy previously owned homes because they say it's a better overall value, better price, more charming character, lack of inventory of new homes. So all you builders in the room, get on it. And then some of them are DIYers. They want to fix it up themselves. All right, so summary. We have around 2 months' supply of single-family homes in the marketplace, which, as I said, is really dangerous to the community, to the economy. 65% of U.S. homes are owner-occupied. 42% of homes had one or more people 60 plus. The top 3 destinations are Dallas, Atlanta, Phoenix. The median age of first-time home buyers has increased to 33. The median age of repeat buyers has increased to 56. 69% of homes have no children under 18, but once again, I questioned how many of those have children over 18. They didn't break that down. And 51% of home buyers are moving to the suburbs. I have a few minutes. Do I have any questions? So he's asking me about foreclosures. That's interesting because at the beginning of COVID, all I kept seeing were headlines like, it's going to be foreclosures, it's going to be 2009 all over again. It didn't happen. It didn't materialize. The government stepped in and kept houses from going into foreclosure. So now what I see is foreclosures are only about 1% of the market.
I think it's kind of interesting too, the age gap between home buyers are literally, if you go back like 2 slides, they're going like this. Which clearly shows, that median age of repeat buyers increased to 56 and the median age of first-time buyers increased to 33. And that's the why I'm talking about. Which clearly kind of goes back to what we were saying on the panel earlier, as access to homes is getting harder and harder. So I think that's interesting and good to point out. I like.
Great, thank you. So what I find is it's going to fall back to the parents. If you're a millennial and you're sitting on $50,000 in student debt, it's going to fall back to your parents to help you get that deposit for that house, or maybe even co-sign for the house. That's where I see what's going on now. I mean, the federal government just delayed student payments again, student loan payments again, but I think we're going to need to do more than that. Any other questions? Okay. Here's my information. If you email me, don't text me, please, because then I got to go and email it. I just want to be able to hit reply and attach the thing. Can I tell you? I can email you today's presentation. And thank you for your time, everyone.